Probably all of you have come across the magnetism, basic principle, right hand rule in particular. Whenever any body having a mass m, mean it has a particle nature, it spins. Whenever it spins, it produces a magnetic field. And this is when a body of mass m do so. All right. So this is the electricity and magnetism you have also come across. They are totally opposite to each other. If a body in the far like a current, this is spin, it produce a basically all right. So I hope we are going away from our field. So I shall focus on magnetism, not on electricity at the moment. So, but they are interlinked with each other. Magnetism and electricity and magnetism. Wherever there is electric field, there is a magnetic field as well. High tension wires, if you remember, it produces a magnetic field which attracts the body because our body consists of living organisms, consists of different metal ions, and they produce a specific magnetic field. Our body is also producing a magnetic field. So when it is closer to a high tension wire, it catches it. It attracts it. So if one person is 2-3 feet away from high tension wire, it attracts it. So it is no be recommended to be very close to the high tension wire or instruments which are using high voltage, 440 or 1 kV or higher than 1 kV, etc. So it is not recommended to get close to such wires because it has produces a magnetic field which attracts the other bodies. Similarly, the magnetic field and electricity, they are interlinked with each other. So we can generate, if we spin a magnet, it produces electricity. If electricity is passed in the form of coils, it produces magnetic field. So all these are interconvertible to each other. We are not going to focus on that. You can read this out yourself. Electricity and magnetism in most of the physics books you shall find collective because they are interrelated to each other. So this is a particle, just like our electron, proton, and neutron, they are also particles. Either they are charged or uncharged, doesn't matter. So when it spins, whatsoever is the mass, either this is 10 to raise power minus 31 kg like mass of electron, or 10 to raise power minus 27 like the mass of a proton or a neutron, or it is a mega body having a mass in kilograms or tons. Whenever any particle having a mass spins, it always produces a magnetic field. Now, how we can calculate what is the direction of magnetic field? Right-hand rule you have come across. So this is how we can calculate. It is spinning anti-clockwise if you are watching from the top plane. So this is the, you shall put your fingers along like this, right? So thumb shall be in this direction. This is the direction of magnetic field. On the other hand, if it is opposite, it is spinning clockwise, then magnetic field shall be downward. This is how we calculate. But when we place them, small magnet in a big magnet, then we see a precession. What is precession? This is very specific terminology used in magnetism. Whenever a tiny magnet placed in a strong magnetic field, so what happened? Its nuclear spin, or you can say its magnetic field, doesn't align. Like, see, it is in this axis. No, it shall not be in this axis. It shall have a precessional orbit. It shall keep changing towards the direction. If the line of forces of magnetic field, of applied magnetic field are in this direction, it shall not have this direction. It shall process, in fact. This is what we call precessional orbit. I exemplified this with the help of a talk. I hope some of you who have this opportunity would have observed the movement of a top. When it is spinning, so you see, if it is rotating, suppose clockwise, whenever it ends its motion, it end its motion opposite what it is spinning. If it is spinning clockwise, it ends with anti-clockwise. If it is moving anti-clockwise, it ends with clockwise. This is called precession. You can observe yourself at home. So this is precessional orbit that the magnetic field of the spins like this one when it is in precession. All right. So this is what you have come across yesterday. Now, on this basic concept, I am building up the other concept, keeping in mind, whenever you have a body of mass m, either this is charged or uncharged. Charge like electron carrying one negative charge, proton carries one positive charge, neutron carries no charge. But it doesn't mean neutron doesn't produce magnetic field. Neutron also produce magnetic field. Proton, electron, all three produces magnetic field. But the strength of magnetic field is different. The magnetic field produced by electron is different. The magnetic field produced by proton and neutron is different. The mass of proton and neutron is very close to each other, not a very big difference. So we can see if we are comparing with electron, electron has a high charge density. So its magnetic strength is higher. The magnetic field strength of proton and neutron is lower. That's why it needs less energy to resonate, less magnetic field. So it is in megahertz. For electron, this is in gigahertz, 1,000 times higher than that. I hope it shall be clear right now. In previous lecture, I have simplified this as well. So on these concepts, just the electron or nucleon spin. They are in constant spinning. Just like I exemplified this, our Earth around movement around sun, it has two movements. One is called orbital motion, in which it rotates around the sun, and it takes 264 days and 6 hours to complete this orbit. On the other hand, if you look at, it is also spinning around its axis, north to south. So that axis is also just similar to this one. The axis of this, let's say this is north and south, it is tilted towards its axis. The axis is tilted like this, which makes the different kind of seasons, in fact. Otherwise, if it is the axis and this north and south magnetic field, they are same, then all the year, there shall be no change in weathers, or you can say seasons shall not be changed. It shall be, if it is winter somewhere, it shall be winter throughout the year. So this is something which is very important to understand, that whenever you have a body of mass m, whenever it spins, it produces magnetic field, and the direction of magnetic field we can determine with the help of right hand rule. On this concept, let's say if focus on a microsystem, electrons, the atoms. Atoms, we are not, in future, we are not going to discuss electron because it is involved in ESR. ES is not much informative for us, but NMR is much important. Why it is important? Because we have all organic molecules contain carbon essential. Mostly they are having hydrogen as well. In hydrogen, we have protium, deuterium, tritium, 3 isotopes. And normally protium is very, very highly abundant naturally. Deuterium is less. Tritium is very, very poorly abundant. So protium and deuterium, both of them are NMR active. Carbon 12, this is not NMR active, but carbon 13 is natural isotope, which is 1.1% abundant only. So that is NMR active. So we can carry out the carbons and hydrogens. We can study them in this NMR. So the environment of that, in different environment, we have different values. So on that basis, we can, NMR gives us a very, very good information. Most of the organic molecule, or you can say all of them in particular, can be studied by NMR. This is very broad spectrum. It is not dependent dependent upon dipole or any other physical property out there. So we can carry out proton NMR. Proton is basically doesn't mean we are just focusing on proton, not on neutron. Proton NMR, we use that terminology because of protium. Protium is the highly abundant isotope of hydrogen, 99.998% abundant. Highly abundant. So it is called proton NMR. Why? Because protium, if you remember, its atomic number is 1. Atomic mass is also 1. It contains 1 proton and no neutron. Because only 1 proton is present, that's why we call this proton NMR. All right? Proton NMR means protium NMR. So similarly, we can carry out deuterium NMR. Both of them are NMR active. But carbon 13 is NMR active. Carbon 12 is not NMR active. Similarly, fluorine is NMR active. Chlorine is NMR active. Phosphorus is NMR active. All right. So these are something that you shall come across. And keeping in mind, it all depends upon isotopes. We are talking about nucleus. We are not talking about the atom. So different, you have come across in mass spectrometry as well, that different isotopes show different mass, no doubt, because they are having different number of neutrons. But in NMR, maybe one isotope of an element is NMR active, other may be inactive. Just I exemplify carbon 12 is NMR inactive, but carbon 13 is NMR active. Similarly, you shall come across both isotopes of chlorine are NMR active. Both isotopes of bromine are NMR active. Phosphorus 31, it is NMR active, but phosphorus 32 is NMR inactive. So anyhow, you shall see how we calculate which is NMR active and which is not NMR active. You shall see the protocol later. But at the moment, I am interested to build up a few more concepts on magnetism. Let's say this is the nuclear spin. Nuclear spin means if there is an unpaired electron, neutron, or proton present or not. Unpaired. If present, it shall have a spin that we call nuclear spin. Right? The direction, let's see on left-hand side, what I have presented here, I have presented 5 nucleons. There is a positive charge on them, so they are probably protons. But it doesn't mean they cannot be neutron. They can be neutron as well. So it is neutron or proton when they are having, let's say, because when there is no magnetic field, they are not placed in a magnetic field, right? What happens to them? They have any direction because it is maybe spinning in this direction. Its axis may be like this. Its axis may be like this. Its axis may be this one. It has a random axis. 360 degrees are there in 2 dimension. In 3 dimension, because this is a just like ball, 3-dimensional structure, it has further degrees. We cannot limit this. So its direction of magnetic field can be different. It may be like this, it may be like this, it may be like this, maybe like this, maybe like this. Any. It may have any direction of nuclear spin when it is no magnetic field is applied. Let's say we place these tiny magnets in a very strong magnetic field. The strong magnetic field has a field which we represent with B naught. In some of the books, you shall find it is presented capital H naught. So either this is H naught or it is B naught. Both shows magnetic field. All right. So in some books, you shall find B naught. In some books, you shall find H naught. That's why I have presented this X naught. It may be capital H naught or it may be capital H or it may be a capital BA. B starts from basically Bohr's magneton because Bohr also worked on magnetic susceptibility. So that's why on that, his contribution, it is presented with B naught, but it is also presented with H naught. So when we place these same nuclei in a strong magnetic field. This is the direction of magnetic field. You see, this is the direction of the magnetic field. Now, there are two possibilities only. These orientate their nuclear spin in two ways. It may be aligning the applied magnetic field, or it may be opposing it. Now look at here. There are 5 nucleus presented here, which have a random nuclear spin. But look at here. Here, their magnetic field, either it is aligning this, let's say this one, and this one. These 3 nucleus have aligned the applied magnetic field, and some of them are opposing it. You see, this is parallel to this, 0-degree angle between them. But look at this one and that one. They are totally opposite, 180 degree to each other. So these 2 are opposing and these 3 are aligning. So this is a state that we call lower energy state. This is very similar. If let's say a river is running, you are sitting in a boat. If you are following along the flow of river, you need not to apply any force. You don't need any paddles. The boat shall be keep moving along the flow of river. But if you are interested to go against the flow of river, you are supposed to apply a very strong force. You need if you are using the paddle boat, it is not enough energy to stop that flow. So you are supposed to have a motor boat with you, which shall let you move against the flow of river. All right. So this is something which is very important to understand. Same is here. This this B naught or H naught applied magnetic field is just like a river. These nuclei have aligned their nuclear spin along the flow of along the direction of applied magnetic field. So this is lower in energy. The one which is opposing it, they are higher in energy. All right. Just I have presented the board moving along the flow of river, moving against the flow of river. When you are moving against the flow of river, you need at least motor boat. But when you are moving along the flow, you even don't need to make paddles. It shall keep moving along the flow of the water. So this is something which is very important to understand in this case. So whenever we place tiny magnets in a strong magnetic field, there are 2 possibilities. It may align its magnetic field along the applied magnetic field, or it may oppose it. There is no third possibility that it make perpendicular to that 90 degree like this one, just like if I present this one, just perpendicular to this, or 60 degree to this, or 180 degree to 120 degree to this. No, not at all. Whenever this is happening, it has only 2 possibilities, 2 states. Now here I am presenting 2 energy states. One is aligning the applied magnetic field, which is lower in energy. This is called alpha state. Second, which is opposing this, that has a higher energy, we call this beta state. So alpha state is lower in energy and beta state is higher in energy. So such nucleus, which are when placed in a strong magnetic field. So what we are doing in NMR we are doing the same. In NMR we are doing the same. We basically place our sample in a very strong magnetic field. What is the role of strong magnetic field? It basically, this field generates alpha beta energy states. When there is no magnetic field, there, no magnetic field, what happens? It has a nuclear spin in any direction. No energy state is generated. So we cannot study NMR. NMR we can only study when we place these tiny nuclei, or you can say organic molecules, which are having NMR active in strong magnetic field. The purpose of NMR is to generate smooth magnetic field, smooth, so that when magnetic field is constant, if it is magnetic field is constant, so it shall generate two states, alpha and beta. Let's say if due to any reason, this magnetic field generated, it is variable, then the energy gap between alpha and beta shall also change. We shall see mathematical relationship. I shall explain that later. The energy gap between alpha and beta, it all depends upon the strength of magnetic field. If we increase the magnetic field strength, the alpha energy gap shall increase. I shall explain that later. But the purpose of this slide is just to introduce you that whenever our nuclei, let's say you have this nuclei in a test tube. So when it is in a test tube, as an analyte, the nuclear spin of the nucleons, mean proton and neutron, that shall have a random direction, no limit. But once we place same test tube in a strong magnetic field, no, it shall have two states. One which is aligning the applied magnetic field. They shall align their magnetic field along this, let's say 1, 2, 3, they are aligning. Second, they may be opposing the applied magnetic field like this one and this one. All right. So when it is like this, so they shall have opposing this one. Now this opposing one is called beta state, higher energy state. And this which is aligning this, it is called lower energy state, which we define as alpha energy state. Let's see, I have presented this in next slide. This is when no field, magnetic field is applied, it shall have a random distribution. All right. But it can have any field. No energy state is there. There is no energy state. But once we applied a strong magnetic field, this is which have a sentence B naught or H naught. This is the direction of energy. External magnetic field is applied. This is the direction of B naught. Same is the direction of energy. This is called energy gap. This is, I have highlighted energy gap, which corresponds to radio frequency. Mean this is the energy gap that we calculate in hertz. All right. So now there are two possibilities only. This is the applied magnetic field, right? This is what this is. You can say this is in this direction. This is making an angle. It is not parallel to this. Keeping in mind, this is an energy that I have presented, professional orbit. If you remember this one. If it is not in a magnetic field, it can have a random distribution. But whenever it applies to a magnetic field, look at here. This is the applied magnetic field, and this is the professional orbit. So the direction of magnetic field, it is changing with the passage of time. When it is moving like this also process like this. This nuclear spin changes like in this circle, right? If we are comparing with mean, these B naught and they are not, they aligned it, but they have a specific angle, slight different angle. This is called professional orbit. This is, and the energy involved in this is called professional energy. This is what we have seen, notice in the tops as well. So this is, I have presented, this is the direction of applied magnetic field, B naught, but it is having a little angle due to professional motion, professional orbit. So this is aligning it, and this one is opposing it. Aligning it is having a lower energy, and opposing one have a higher energy. It is not 180 degree. You see here, they are not 180, maybe 150, 160, something like that. It depends upon it is procession. It is in procession. So this one is aligning, and this is opposing. These two are 180 degree to each other, right? Which one is aligning, that have lower energy. The one which is opposing have a higher energy. Let's say this is the energy gap. This is alpha state. This is beta state. Now energy states are being generated. when we have applied magnetic field, or we have placed the sample in a strong magnetic field. When we place in a strong magnetic field, the purpose of doing so is in NMR just to generate alpha beta state. If there is no applied magnetic field, there shall be no alpha beta state in the molecule. I hope this is clear. So these are the energy state. Two energy state, this is called alpha state, this is called beta state, right? And this energy gap, this is not fixed. This is not fixed. Why? Because this is dependent upon B naught. If we increase the B naught strength of magnetic field, this energy gap shall rise. In other words, this difference of energy that we calculate in frequency units in NMR and ESR, this is directly proportional to B naught. I shall explain this mathematically in next slides. So this is very important to understand. Coming to this, whenever we have a sample in a test tube as an analyte, it has a random nuclear spin in any direction. But when we place them in NMR, it has only two possibilities. It may align it or it may oppose it. That I have presented here. This is the applied magnetic field. It is aligning it, it is opposing it, right? So this little bit angle is very similar to professional energy, professional orbit, all right? So this is aligning and this is opposing. This is lower energy state, this is higher energy state. This is called alpha state, this is called beta state. I hope it is clear right now. This is the energy gap, which is dependent upon the applied magnetic field. Higher is the applied magnetic field, higher shall be the energy gap. Let's say, go to the next slide. What I have presented, the same you have seen earlier here, I have presented that in a different way. When we have B naught is 0, mean there is no applied magnetic field, the energy gap is 0 between lower and higher energy state. Here, blue one is showing alpha state and red one is showing beta state. Both of them are combined with each other. I mean, there is no energy gap. There is no energy state generated when there is no applied magnetic field. But once we place this sample in a magnetic field, the strength of magnetic field B naught is greater than 0. I mean, it is not equal to 0. It may be any value. And the unit of applied magnetic field is called Tesla. Tesla. Tesla is the unit of magnetic field, SI unit. But because it is very higher value, so to small systems where magnetic field we need less, we also use a derived called Gauss. Gauss is the name of a scientist who was working on magnetism. So on his contribution to magnetism, so it is given a derived unit, non-SI unit is Gauss, G-A-U-S-S. You have come across in inorganic chemistry, Gauss balance. Gauss balance is the balance which is used to calculate the magnetic susceptibility of metal ions or transition metal complexes. From this experimental value, we can calculate how many unpaired electrons are present, in complex or transition metal. This is the advantage. Gauss work on that. So Gauss balance is that same Gauss. Here Gauss is also the unit which is derived, but SI unit of magnetic field is Tesla. So when it is not 0, it is greater than 0, any value, then two energy states are generated. One is aligning this that we normally present with plus half spin, and minus half spin, this is mean opposing it. So the one which is lower in energy is called alpha state. The one which is higher in higher in energy, this is called beta state. Energy is increasing in y-axis, like this one. We have a few seconds remaining, so we shall log in again and we shall proceed further.